Hello, folks. Welcome to the Star Wars Order 66 Sons of the Order podcast. I'm Laney. Wait a minute. No, I'm not Laney. I'm James. Thank you for joining us. And today we have, well, let's see here. We have to my left, we have
Laney.
And to her left, we have
Chuck.
And to the other side,
Joey.
And besides him,
Liam.
And
Jeff.
And there's Jeff. So last time we talked about on the podcast, we talked about several different things, the figures that we received, which were just absolutely awesome. And we also discussed favorite movies within the Star Wars genre. And we thought we would probably lead off today with, that's our producer, Joey. I'm going to start calling him Mein Herr. Guten Tag.
Episode 4 was supposed to be a New Hope.
Yeah. But anyway, now we're going to be talking about our favorite characters.
There we go. Welcome to
episode 4. Yeah, we're going to talk about favorite characters, and we're going to be talking about perhaps our least favorite movie in the genre. So, who would like to begin?
I will go first.
Okay.
Go, William.
You won't. Nobody else will be talking. Are we doing first our favorite character?
You got the mic. Go ahead.
Well, my favorite character.
It doesn't matter.
This is like the after hours.
Wow, this is episode 4. All right.
Yeah. Well, my favorite character, and then this kind of touches into what I was talking about last time, is Luke Skywalker, because I think Luke Skywalker is one of the most influential film characters of all time. Because before 1977, when the original Star Wars came out, the science fiction heroes, they were of like the Buck Rogers type, the Flash Gordon type, and
the confident, tested hero.
There wasn't really a reason for the audience to become invested in them because they weren't relatable. And what the character of Luke Skywalker brought into that genre is it became a relatable character, because he was just a kid. He wanted to go away and have adventures.
This ain't like Dustin Crop's Farm Boy.
Yeah. And I think that's what part of the reason the movie was so successful, is because people related with that character, and they related with all the characters. It was a much more human movie than science fiction had seen before.
Well, just Luke's whole evolution from going from the farm boy to the Jedi Master, and then beyond, because apparently Mark Hamill is already scheduled to come back and has already finished filming for episode 7. So we know that his character carries on.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he's gone after. Yeah.
Anybody that kisses their sister on the lips is not my favorite character. I'm sorry.
Well, what's wrong with that?
We mentioned we're out of Texas.
We are in Texas, but still, no.
Not quite Arkansas.
Jeff, what's your favorite character?
Oh, goodness.
Not the one that sells the best. Come on.
Not the one that sells the best. I know I was going to say Yak Face, or
Yak Face is a good answer.
One of the obscure. I always thought that the cantina scene. Now I'm going to go completely off base, but the cantina scene for me was so awesome, and just all the various characters and their looks, and how you could have this place where all of the scum and villainy of the whole universe would be located at. So I don't know. I don't really have a particularly favorite character. I can make it real easy and say Boba Fett or Darth Vader, but that's not what y'all expect out of me. You expect more than just the token response. So I would have.
So my Darth Vader's token.
No. What I'm saying is yes, and we've discussed this. Star Wars is the story of Darth Vader. I wanted to slip that in before you did. But it is. It's the
actually,
evolution.
I've amended that now. It's actually the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker.
Okay. Well, that's acceptable. That's absolutely truthful. But favorite characters maybe Boba Fett. I just thought that just an amazing character for somebody that had just a one line or just a couple lines. 3 lines.
3 lines.
But
He's
such
so good
a
to be dead.
but such a limited amount of lines, and actually played by a lot more
Marceau.
5 people.
a lot more character actors than
5 people.
than actually just Jeremy Bullock, right?
Dickie Beer, Jeremy Bullock,
Jason Wingren.
Jason Wingren.
Who is the original voice?
Marceau.
It
You know, he
depends on what
passed quietly.
scene, really.
Yeah.
Depends on what scene. But that's that's awesome. That's good.
I think we're we missing one.
We're missing. I think there's 4 or 5.
Well, if you
4 or
don't
5,
count
but-
Daniel Logan from the prequels.
No, of
Or-
Boba Fett,
or,
actual Boba Fett,
or
not young Boba Fett.
Tamora Morrison, who did the voiceover for Boba, the special edition that we don't talk about.
Oh, that's true. That's true. How about you, Lynn?
We're just gonna skip over James, I guess. My favorite character has to be a man, or as I like to call him, Anemone. He's a
What's
bounty.
your favorite scene that he's in?
This isn't about scenes, man.
The naked
Okay, there's
one.
an-
The
he's
naked
not-
one. The naked
Wow.
one.
He look.
you with that one.
Oh, you're funny. But no, I've hung him up on the wall a lot. on our loose vintage wall, guys.
Brought to you by the power of the Force.
It's in your hands.
Why do y'all do that when I'm taking a drink of water?
James, let's go back to you for a moment. What's your favorite character?
You know, you were talking about the cantina and villainry and scum and all that. Is that the barbershop next to? Never mind. I was probably going to say, well, probably, Princess Leia, because we did date.
You did date.
Yes, we did.
Did she know about it?
No, I don't know. Favorite characters, probably Darth Vader, but not because of the reasons you guys, the very intellectual reasons that you guys have.
I just think he's cool.
I was going to do that like what Liam said. I think it's cool.
Cool.
But
My favorite color is black.
yeah.
That's the only reason I like
But
it.
I mean, I love the voice of James Earl Jones.
Absolutely.
And he's a frightening character.
Now, you had a personal
Yes.
occasion where you met James.
It was about 1982 or 83, and James Earl Jones came to our campus at East Texas State. He even did a commercial for our school. And it was on the local TV stations for a while. And he was walking. I was walking on campus. It was late afternoon, about dusk, and there was nobody out. And James Earl Jones was walking. He was doing some sort of thing at our school. We was walking with a guy by the name of Dr. Kay Kokenauer, who was my speech teacher, who was also in the theater department. And they were just walking along. And here I am walking, and I just walk right by them. I don't say anything. I don't, I'm sure I knew Dr. Kokenauer. I'm sure he would have introduced me. And I just walked right by them like it was because I was in college and I was having a good time, and all that stuff really didn't seem to matter that much to me then. Now I look back on it now, 30 some odd years later, I really missed out, So thanks for remembering that story.
No, what I found,
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I would have loved personally to have met, even though he's still around, of course, and we may still be able to meet. But James Earl Jones, just the and this is a little off topic, but who saw the
Where he was the fighter?
No.
Field of Dreams?
No.
No.
We're talking Star Wars here, Liam.
Oh, I
No,
thought
we're
you were talking about
with,
just
with
general.
Sheldon. What the heck was?
Oh,
Big Bang Theory.
Big
Big Bang Theory.
Apparently,
when
we're
that-
not just talking Star Wars
When
here.
James Earl Jones was on there, and just what a fun.
Yeah.
He just seems like such a fun guy, and
Yeah.
him and Sheldon had such a great time. So.
He's just got a great voice. I mean, his speaking voice is just
Beyond-
outstanding.
CNN.
Yep, that too.
But beyond that, just how he presented himself on Big Bang Theory was just that, the guy was just a fun guy.
He has a sense of humor with himself, because you get a lot of these actors like like Dennis Lawson in particular, who played Wedge, who's really tried to stay out of the Star Wars world, whereas James Earl Jones, I found, he's gone on and done other things, but he definitely accepts what he did and what a major role in history
I don't
played.
think he's always been that way, though. I think that's been more recently than...
After he
Sometimes
did
it takes him a
Rebels.
while to come around.
Well,
he
at some
didn't-
point, we'll have to have a discussion about autographs and signing of photos. And
That's a great idea.
the whole idea between James Earl Jones and David Prowse.
I could give how I met James Earl Jones at that time.
How did you meet James Earl Jones?
Kidnapped.
Well, no, we don't want to spoil it. This is gonna be like later.
Tied him up.
Spoiler alert.
Thanks for saying spoiler.
Kidnapped him.
But I met him in 1982 as well. He must have been doing some kind of promotional thing because he actually
he
filmed
was
a
in the
commercial in my hometown.
Yeah, he filmed the commercial for East Texas. The commercial came on. It says something about and a great college and East Texas State University in Commerce, and it was on the local stations probably for about 3
That was
months.
amazing.
He did one for the
I
phone
could have
company.
swore
I know. I'm
that
telling
James Earl Jones was in the room with us.
you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you mean over there?
Yes.
I want to go back to Lainey a second to see if she's still like, what's up with the man here?
Who's hanging up on the wall?
Anemone or
Well, you guys are gonna take all the other cool ones. We already got Vader, Boba
There's like
Fett.
hundreds of
We already got
characters.
Leia. Yeah, and I just happen to really like Amanda Man. You can see him hanging out with Jabba the Hutt, and
he was a headhunter.
he was a headhunter. Yeah, he was.
One of the usual suspects.
My question is, why was the only torture droid EV-99 in the whole movie a female? Why is that? Because
I said, well,
females
yes or no will do.
torture people.
I believe he was voiced,
Wow.
or the droid was voiced by Richard Marquardt, correct?
Yeah, but it was.
The film's director.
I think EV-99 was a
Did you say
female.
Lord Farquaad?
I said Richard Marquardt.
Okay.
I was unaware that EV-99 was supposed to be
This is
of the
a-
female persuasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the books and from the writings on it. Yeah, she was a female. She's the one that was putting the hot coals or
Yeah.
whatever they were to
Oh, yeah, I know.
R2's feet, or to it wasn't R2, was it? It was
No,
one of
it was
the
another droid.
It was
It
one of the
it
other
was one of the
other
Gonk
droids.
droids.
Yeah.
But she was one of the females. So
Joey, what's your favorite?
I'm gonna have to check on that.
Oh, you got to check on your
fact check.
Yeah.
Fact
I don't know. I have a hard time coming up with any solid favorite.
Word.
There's, of the main characters.
Anemone.
Yeah, of the main characters, I might lean towards either Vader or Han Solo. But I would say, just for the sake of being different, in the expanded universe, I liked it was probably be a toss up between Grand Admiral Thrawn and
Which is
Prince.
no longer canon.
I know. Don't
Sadly.
get- that's a whole.
Thrawn, but Thrawn's cool.
That's a
Thrawn's
whole
awesome.
nother
Or
episode.
Zizor.
Canon
Thrawn.
versus
Yeah.
the expanded universe. Yeah, Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Prince Shizor from the
Right.
Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah.
Yusong Vong or whatever they call him.
No, he's part of Black Sun.
Oh, he's part of Black Sun. Okay.
That's cool.
Use it.
That's a good. That's a good.
Well, I just like it's a toss up for me between them because I mean they share a lot of the same qualities, just being incredibly smart. And I don't know, with Thrawn, he was just so calculating in the way he could almost predict the future just by knowing who he was dealing with and some of the backstory of the individual species and that kind of thing. Just kind of being able to anticipate so much stuff with not very much information to go on.
Well, how actually disappointing was it when you heard the first time that they weren't going to include the expanded universe?
Well, they didn't. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. But
They-
they didn't say
they didn't
exactly
say-
that they weren't going to do that.
My interpretation, whenever the word came down that they basically dropped a nuke on the expanded universe, was that they will.
It's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, they did. They really
True.
did.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to put it.
They
It's-
have said they basically said there may be some things that we pick and choose from, kind of like how they did with the prequels, how they decided. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. how they included Coruscant in there. That was
Yeah.
pulled from the expanded universe.
That was pulled from Thrawn trilogy.
And so there might be some things that maybe they're just alluded to or hinted at, but they're not going to be tied down to it. And from a filmmaking perspective, I kind of get that, because I know they want to be able to do their own thing without being beholden to everything. But at the same time, I think a lot of the high points should be either included or referenced or whatever. But just to come out and say that this series of books and comics that so many people have been following through the years
Absolutely.
are just more or less authorized fan fiction
and
at this point.
brilliantly done by Timothy Zahn.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But it's I think it's just a level setting tactic, though. I mean,
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
can choose to use all of it if they
I
want
know.
to.
Well, one of the arguments that I hear, and this is a lot, is the comparison between Star Trek and Star Wars.
Well, that's a
The-
whole nother
well,
show.
Oh, no.
That's a whole
But
other
no, I'm
series.
talking.
Too early.
No, what I'm referring to is that when they rebooted Star Trek with Chris Pine and that whole group of guys, Zachary Quinto and all of that,
Yelchin.
it was actually a reimagining.
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban, I
yeah.
love Carl Urban, but
Simon Pegg.
They did
But,
it. Star Trek did it in such a way that
It was a
it could
different
technically
universe.
still exist somewhere in the ether of an alternate timeline or whatever.
it was a reimagining of the story using the same characters.
Yeah.
Not and was rebooted as opposed to Star Wars, which was an extension of the 6 original films.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that you would have to have some type of canon to keep a logical progression in there.
The canon can't be destroyed anyway, no matter what. Once it's out there, it's out there. There's no going back. It's just a control tactic, but control is just an illusion.
I think it's funny that whenever they did make the announcement regarding the expanded universe, they said that all the TV shows and movies were considered canon and not much else. And so, like we mentioned on the previous episode, the holiday special was televised, so you could call that canon
Well, I think
by that logic.
Well,
Shoot it
It
with
was
one.
one time.
Well, we saw being at the store, being at Order 66 Toys. When the new movie was announced, when they announced that they were going to start filming Episode 7, we saw a huge increase in the sale of figures such as Jason and Jaina Solo, and the Mara Jade from the expanded universe, and the Thrawn from the expanded universe. So a lot of people were looking at investing into those figures and having them as the first appearance of these characters in Episode 7, which is a whole other story on its own.
I
And
guess
like
we're
it-
going to glaze over my favorite character. It's
Well,
okay.
go ahead, Chuck.
Everybody
What-
assumes that it's going to be...
Alan Sleazenbago.
Huh?
Alan Sleazenbago.
No, it's Darth Vader. Of course it's Darth Vader.
Of course, it's
Absolutely.
Darth
You know
Vader.
why? Because Star Wars would not exist without Darth
Did
Vader.
you just say something like that a few minutes ago?
Well,
No.
But see, this is the thing about
actually,
Vader.
mine was
though.
Boba Fett.
This is what makes
No,
Vader.
not-
Who was that little schmo that came in here and did one of those? He was in here and said Vader was the weakest Sith Lord ever.
I don't think I was here for that.
Sacrilege.
Oh, no, he
Sacrilege.
I was not
Oh my gosh,
present
I
when
was
that
like-
imbecile was here.
Are you serious? I mean, even if you start just with the movies alone, Vader's a very powerful character. And
Certainly more than
the
like
fact that
them all.
he's lost most of his limbs and still is able to control the Force as he does is just amazing.
Well, and just got stronger as he went along. Even after Mustafar.
Well, but let's look at one of my favorite scenes of all time is the moment when Lando opens the door up and they're that long banquet table and Vader's at the other end of it. As soon as Han Solo sees him, that blaster's out, and Han Solo does not miss, and he blasts Vader directly, and Vader's just like boop boop boop, and then grabs the blaster right out of Han Solo's hand. That is a force to be reckoned with.
Led to a great robot
pun
chicken
intended.
scene.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But I mean, he's just kind of a no nonsense, non negotiable badass.
Oh, the whole. I'm sorry. The whole other scene with, pray that I don't
alter the deal any
that
further.
I don't alter the deal. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's and he's just knocking out, promoting new admirals because he just choked one out, and he's just a no nonsense kind of guy.
Well, it just went to actually attributed to the whole sliminess behind Lando also.
And Lando's kind of a overall weaker character. I wish they had not made him, kind of that kind of a weakness character based on what they did with him in Return of the Jedi. But even if you read some of the stuff about Vader prior to Episode 4 and, between Episode 3 and 4, some of the books that have come out, his dealings with bounty hunters and Boba Fett and
You just mentioned that.
with Star Killer.
Yeah, the Force Unleashed, for sure.
All the stuff that, Joey's talking about, all the canon that is supposed to still exist with all these characters is phenomenal. Vader had a really good run up until, that second Death Star and that final duel with Luke.
So I'll go.
Something I was just going to throw out there. I remember having a conversation with a friend around the time that Episode 1 came out, and my friend had a theory that if Darth Vader wasn't so old in the original trilogy, and maybe if he wasn't missing so many of his limbs, and that what you saw, the kind of action that you saw from Darth Maul might be what you could see from Darth Vader if he was still in prime condition, so to speak.
Or worse because of Vader's overall power with the Force. You know what really disappoints me about the one thing that they didn't really nail with Vader, and I think I did this in an earlier podcast, the thing that really upsets me is in Episode 3, when he comes off the table and he does that, and Liam's right, when he realizes that Padme is dead, and you see like the room, like glass, the glass beaker start breaking and all that. That should have been a lot more impressive. Like the whole freaking thing should have been shaking. It should have really been bad.
To me, one of the things I heard about, I don't remember who was, I believe it was actually Simon Pegg who was talking about that scene and how they could have made that scene better. Which is
less Frankenstein-ish would have been good.
Yeah,
too.
well, it's Anakin is on the operating table and the mask is about to come on, and that's when Palpatine's telling him that in his anger he had killed Padme. And to me, it would have been more powerful if he's going no. If he says that, it's
as the mask is being put on.
Well, yeah, it's his last words as Anakin Skywalker, and then his first words as Darth Vader, and then you sort of see after he realizes what he's done, he just sort of loses all of his empathy.
But, I mean, like when Vader's choking on Mahdi in Episode, in A New Hope, just kind of showing his overall power because nobody had really seen that before, and everybody's kind of like your sorcerer's ways, and it's like, oh yeah, buddy, here you go, boom, because he's the only one really like of his kind other than the Emperor around. You don't get to see that often in the earlier films. The Jedi's, the Jedi are the Sith power. But, that's why it should have been so much more powerful, because that's him in control. Just imagine if he's not in control, how much power there is.
Well, we've discussed our favorite characters, and as we're winding down, we were also going to be discussing our least favorite film of the genre. So who would like to start in that regard?
Ladybug.
I play the fifth, man.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have a least favorite?
No.
And why not?
I just like them all.
You feel as though it's interesting. That's actually a really good answer, because all 6 episodes, you really can't take 1 or 2 on their own.
Right. No, not at all.
The guy, I met him at one of the shows too. The guy that wrote the documentary Saving Star Wars. It's kind of like a parody of Saving Private Ryan. The guy that starred in it and directed it and produced it. His tagline from that movie was, Star Wars is like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still pizza. And I thought that was a really interesting take on the perspective about the total universe that is Star Wars.
Did you have a
favorite episode?
Or at least
the one that comes in
least-
last for me overall would be Episode 1.
That's
I
mine.
had such high hopes for it, but I'll tell you,
That's
there's
mine,
some.
too.
You know, I say that it's in last, but I'll tell you, there's some things in there that are outstanding. You know, getting to see Qui-Gon Jinn, you know, and his lightsaber, like when he's coming through the blast door and he's twisting his lightsaber and he's burning through this massive blast door, and getting to see the Jedis as they're supposed to be, because before that, you know, watching 4, 5, and 6, you don't see any Jedis running around. You just see Luke on a path. You see Obi-Wan, you know, showing him for a little bit in Episode 4, but you don't really see that. But seeing, you know, the Jedis, the Jedi Council in Episode 1 is great. The battle, you know, with 2 Jedis versus Darth Maul is awesome. I mean, that you can't take that away. Darth Maul is one of the greatest characters in the Star Wars universe.
It had such a short. I just thought he was there for such a short amount of time too.
That's why they revived him for Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean, but the film overall, it does have some of the same good components. It's just that, you know, with every first story, that's why George Lucas didn't tell that story first, because it wouldn't have had the same impact as telling it in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
How about our producer George Martin? What is your least favorite Star Wars?
In the unpopular opinion, well, I don't know. For me, it would be a toss-up between Episode 1 or 2. As far as the prequels go, the Episode 3, in my opinion, is the only one that comes close to playing in the same ballpark as the originals. My opinions are influenced heavily. If anyone has ever seen a website out there called Red Letter Media,
Definitely.
and there's the Plinkett prequel reviews. Anybody who has watched those, no surprises from my opinion. It was just the first 2 prequels were just such a botched execution. There were interesting things to take away from all the prequels in their own regard, but just as whole movies, they're just, you just can't escape the dialogue and the acting and the over-reliance on special effects. And all technical arguments aside, I would say Episode 2 was just, for the whole, it kind of instigates the whole galactic battle when you get the Separatists and you got the Republic. But when you're trying to kick off such a big thing, in my opinion, you probably don't want to go at it with 2 armies that are completely disposable on both sides. When you got clones, you got robots, nobody really cares.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
If any of these things,
That's a really good point.
So when you've got disposable armies, you got no stakes in there, and that
There's no empathy.
Yeah,
There's no
and it brings the
anything.
tension down where it's supposed to be high. Now, I think they tried to correct a lot of that with Clone Wars, trying to show the humanity of the clones and everything. But if you're just talking about the movies and that sort of thing, that shows to me just it's kind of indicative of so many other things that were going on.
I thought you were
on
going to
with
go in
it.
a different direction. I thought you were going to say Hayden's acting was
Oh well, yeah, like I
part
said,
of bringing it down. I
Well,
don't know
yeah,
if it's
the
either.
acting-
I don't know if that's even true, because for me, every story's got to have a beginning, and you
That's
had
the
to have.
tagline for the first film.
Well,
Yeah.
every
Jeff.
story has a beginning.
Liam,
But-
go ahead. Go ahead.
But episode 1, I just think after watching and being a teenager, a late teen in '77, and watching the movies as they were produced and as they came out
Yes.
from episode 4, 5, and 6, seeing them in that order, I just think that you missed so much of the fun of the whole story if you would have actually watching it in that order was so incredibly important. But you also had to know the origin stories. You had to know the beginnings.
And that's why I say there are good and bad things to take away from. Well, there are good things to take away from the prequels. In my head, the prequels, episodes 1 and 2 especially, if I had never seen them, I would be happy with just like, okay, here's an outline of what happened, like the Cliff Notes. Give me the Cliff Notes. I don't give me what's important, but there were just, in my opinion, there wasn't enough.
Didn't you feel as though you had they were supporting the fact that Anakin was like such a
sure.
this brilliant racer, and that he was so brilliant with his with the vehicles and everything. That pod race, that was part of that. But
Liam, do you have a least favorite?
Well, I won't.
Star Wars
I will not take the cop-out answer, which is the Clone Wars movie. Technically, it does count because it's a theatrical release, but I did see it in theaters when I was younger, so I'm a little bit nostalgic for it. To me, the worst, the Star Wars series, and I completely agree that I do like all of the films. I'm definitely, I do like the prequels. But to me, the worst is Attack of the Clones, because I feel like Phantom Menace had its problems for sure, but I think the story was very well structured. The idea of it, how it's just some of the execution. I agree with what Joey was saying. Some of the dialogue does not work. But like even a character like Jar Jar, which a lot of people don't like, he was necessary to the plot because you needed a connection between the Gungans and Naboo. To me, Episode 2 missed out on the magic of Star Wars, which was. And what had to work about that movie is you had to see Anakin as a human, and you had to empathize with that character to set up his downfall in Episode 3, and you just did not get that. And I'm not bashing Hayden Christensen. I think he's actually a very talented actor. If you've seen Shattered Glass or Life as a House.
Why do I get the feeling that you're going to be the death of me?
But to me, Attack of the Clones, and the most interesting parts of of just the story that
is your Padawan.
Yes.
The most interesting parts of the story you never get to see. Like you never get to see Obi-Wan and Anakin in that movie as friends. Like it's alluded to.
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
Yeah. Like it's alluded to in Episode 4, you just see Obi-Wan as a stern master, and that's why I think people loved like some of the elements of Episode 3 because you got to see them as friends. You never saw. Like, I think Lainey was talking about this on the last podcast, talking about how powerful some of those moments in Episode 3 was, because you just feel that connection.
Because by that point, you actually had seen them, working together and that kind of thing. But so much, especially in Episode 2, once they have been together for a few years, you're told all of the adventures or all the scrapes that they've been in, but you never see anything, and so you're supposed to believe that they have this chemistry, this friendship between them, but you just don't really see it. You don't experience it.
I think I have to defend Episode 2 here a little bit. I mean, you got Jango Fett in there, Obi-Wan versus Jango Fett. When Yoda comes walking in,
oh my gosh, no,
with the cane,
no, to me,
versus Dooku.
This is awesome. This is going to be.
You don't imagine how many cheers that got.
But to me, that violated. It's a cool scene. If you're not a Star Wars fan and you just watch it, it's cool. But to me, that completely contradicted what Yoda stood for. What was powerful about Yoda is the line in Empire Strikes Back: "War does not make one great."
He was defending Obi-Wan and Anakin.
I know, but that's not the point. The point is that he's.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I will see you in Episode 5, sir.
We do not have time for, I think, this great debate.
It's on.
We were waiting for this. We had actually waited until we had a chance for Chuck and Liam to face off.
Yeah.
So, for our listeners out there, thank you. This has been episode.
It's not over, son.
This has been episode.
And Jeff, you and I will be able to give our least favorite on the next episode. We got a chance.
Episode 5 is coming.
Wait, quickly, just tell us what your least favorites were.
Number 1.
Oh no, Jeff.
At this point, I'm having too good of a time listening. Listening to you two. So, for Order 66 Toys and Son of the Order, again, thank you for listening. This has been A New Hope, Episode 4, signing off.
What about our website? What do we need? Do we need to?
The website.
Yeah,
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Well, if you'd like to send us an email in regards to something that you heard on the show today, or to bring up a question for us, you can send that to order66unleashed@yahoo.com. If you do, and we read that on the air, then you will receive a nice present from us. from Order 66 Toys.
Or you can always come by and see us in person at 111 South Chestnut in McKinney, Texas.
Also, check us out on www.order66toys.net.
And I guess we're signing off. Good night, folks.
May the force be with you.
And also with you.
Hare Krishna.